As more people become aware of XRP, everybody's asking, what is XRP? How does it work? What does it do? Sometimes really hard to grasp because people tend to answer in technical terms. So let's keep this really simple. I realized last year that XRP is wormhole technology. Why is it wormhole technology? Wormhole technology is any technology or phenomenon that takes two distant points in space and time and collapses them on top of one another so that you can transfer or travel between the two instantaneously. A lot like when Doctor Strange walks through a portal. It takes no time at all. That's what XRP does with any form of value, including money, precious metals, real estate, any form of value. Now, what's interesting is that what I realized the other day is that one of my favorite TV shows, Stargate, the movie and the TV show, is all about XRP. And I'm going to show you what I mean. But first, did you know that XRP was represented in Hollywood in a number of different ways going all the way back to like 1990s? Let me show you a few, and then I'm going to show you how Stargate connects to it all. Now, this is a cool all around, but if you're especially a fan of Stargate and XRP, you're going to love this. And before I get started, this is a maybe, this is a possibly, so don't get bent out of shape if you think I'm speaking in facts. And if I expose anybody's hidden agenda, this is for entertainment purposes only and just how my brain works and sees things. Now I'm going to quickly go over 3 different TV shows and movies that showed XRP, mentioned it, or hinted at it. Now these shows and movies go back 35 years, so check this out. And then I'm going to dive into Stargate and connect it all. Now before we get started with all this, one of the coolest crossovers I've seen about all of this is the fact that the same actor, James Spader, who was in the original Stargate movie to kick it all off, also did a series called Blacklist where they talked about Ripple and Bitcoin, which I'm going to show you. Same actor 20 years later. Coincidence? Maybe. All right, let's get into this. This is really cool. All right, this first clip is from a TV show in the early 90s called In Living Color, where the guy talks about buying 100 shares of Ripple 20 years before the company even existed. But he's also talking about how Ripple goes up and Ripple goes down, but I know it's coming back. Check it out.
These flies just ain't flies anymore. They're dependents. Except that one. Say, Jenkins, you get my wheels out the shop?
Yes, sir.
Very good. All right, they got my cart phone in here. I better get my broker on the line. Hey, listen, bitch. I said I want 100 shares of Ripple. I want 100 shares of Ripple. Yeah, I know it's going down, but believe me, I know my Ripple, it'll be coming up real soon.
And of course, he ended up with the money in the end. Now, this next clip is from one of my favorite movies from the 90s. It's called Sneakers. And what you'll see, it's very quick. I'm going to point it out to you. The movie is all about cryptography and hacking. And this is back in the 1991, all right? 91, 92, whatever. You can look it up. But the scene shows them hacking into the Federal Reserve that has $900 billion a day going through it. At the time, that was the number. And you'll see on the screen off to the right, the IntelliLink XRP 262. Check it out.
Too many secrets. Bish, I think you better come over here. Carl, you got your little black book?
Yes.
Give me the number for something impossible to access.
What about this? Federal Reserve Transfer Node, Culpeper, Virginia.
Yeah, sure, good luck.
900 billion a day goes through there.
That'll do. Punch it in.
Okay. You won't get in. It's encrypted. See?
Mother, that last contact. Look at this, boys.
Did you see it? If you didn't, let me put it back up on the screen for you. I love that scene. So here's a scene from Blacklist, Season 1, Episode 11 in 2014 with James Spader, and the whole scene says it all. They're using Bitcoin to hide and launder money for the terrorist, who is James Spader, showing that the money is used to hide stuff. It's a $5 million transfer. In about a minute, this is done. but it can also be transferred across the Ripple network, which is the end game for all of this. Check this out.
Look, it's untraceable, like you asked.
How? Explain.
I used a Ripple exchange to have the fiat currency converted to eCash and then into Bitcoin. I ran the whole transaction through a randomized cryptographic extension at the protocol level, then through a two-tier secure laundry service I know I can trust. No one's gonna catch you. I promise.
I love the Blacklist, so if you haven't watched that series, I highly recommend checking it out. So let's get into Stargate, which is also, just happens to be James Spader, 20 years earlier. And all you have to really do, and you can watch all the shows, you'll see the symbolism everywhere. All you really have to do is watch the very first time in the original movie in 1994 when they open the gate. It says it all, but you have to like see it and not just let it pass by. Like, oh, it's just a movie. You have to actually read into it because all the tidbits are there. I'm going to point them out to you. So let's get into this. Before I jump into Stargate, let me just say a few things. There's two things that I watch religiously a little bit of every day. One of them is the price of XRP. The other one is Stargate, whether it's one of the TV shows or one of the movies, a little bit of that. It's just a habit I have. I'm a Gen X rerun kind of guy. Now, I've been watching Stargate since the 90s. All the series, love them all. I've been investing in XRP for a few years. I had no idea that they were related. And that's usually how abundance works. There's two things that are adjacent to one another, seemingly separate. And then Spirit, or God, says, hey, those things might be related. You might want to investigate a little bit because they're both wormhole technologies. That's the crossover. So I'm like, all right, convince me. Let's go look for the evidence. So let's dive in. Okay, let's go over some of the main characteristics of XRP that we know about. So here are some things that we know about XRP. The company is named Ripple. They have deep liquidity pools. XRP is a liquidity bridge. There's near instantaneous transfer for different forms of value. Little over 3 seconds point-to-point transaction time, and it's a one-way transaction designated by the initiator. So let's look at the very first time they ever opened the Stargate and how all of these things that were just on the screen are embedded in the scene, and then every scene after that for the next 15 years. Did you see it all? So here's the thing too. The gate travel, the way that they depict it, is a little bit longer than 3 seconds. But if you look it up on Google, as far as like, and you hear it in the TV show, what is the actual travel time for gates? It's 3.2 seconds. In Stargate universe, Stargate travel is near instantaneous with the average travel time between Stargates 3.2 seconds. It's starting to make sense, right? You probably didn't notice this, but the top and the bottom of the tunnel when it was going through the travel, it's a three-dimensional version of the Ripple logo. What I did, this is a two-dimensional logo, right? So what I did is I overlaid this onto the tunnel on stills of the video. Let me show you that, because then what we're going to do is move into the symbolism that's actually on the gate that brings it all together. Because I didn't believe it either until I saw this. I have to convince myself of this stuff before I'm like, yep. So let me show you this real quick. So these are 3 stills that I grabbed from when James Spader was traveling through the Stargate. As you can see, as the tunnel winds and twists around, the path on top and the path on bottom actually outline the XRP logo. You can really see it in the bottom one. Now, truth be told, the last one I just showed you, I didn't see that until very recently. It's like, oh, that's there too. I had seen all the rest of it, but I wasn't convinced. I said, Spirit, if this is all true, then where's the X? Because there has to be an X somewhere if this is really about XRP. And this is not about the last thing I showed you. The last thing I showed you came in at the last minute. I'm like, oh, that's there too. So as I started to really zero in on the characteristics of the physical gate, you start to see it. Now, let's just say this. Forget about all the interplanetary and interstellar travel, even though stellar is included in the narrative. So it's interstellar travel. And the movie Interstellar was also about wormholes. And the first planet they landed on was all liquid with massive volatility from the natural tidal waves that keep going back and forth on the planet. We're going to stop right there with stellar, but you get what I'm saying. Forget about other planets and aliens and going to other worlds. Forget about all that. Just focus in on the gate and look at where the X actually shows up. And what's funny is they put it right in front of our face the whole time, which is what they said when they first opened the gate. It was in front of our faces the whole time. When you start looking at the symbol for Earth, do you remember what the symbol for Earth looked like? The point of origin? It's the only symbol on the gate that's not a constellation. It's the point of origin. This is what it looked like. Now, the point of origin was this symbol here, and in the movie, they said it represented a pyramid with a sun above it. But if you really look at it, it's the bottom half of an X. Now, that's cool, but I still wasn't convinced. I'm like, well, that could be the bottom part of an X. If that's the bottom part of the X, then where's the top part of the X? Again, it was always right in front of our face. Do you remember what they called the positions on the gate, parts that locked in the symbols? They were called chevrons. Do you know what a chevron is? A chevron is a line or stripe in the shape of a V or an inverted V. So technically, the top part of the X and the bottom part of the X are both chevrons, but let's keep it simple. Let's just talk about the top part. Now, there is so much to this chevron thing, which I'm going to go over a little bit, but this is what you get. Each and every time, the point of origin locked in. So this is the V that always locked the symbol into place, and when it was fully locked in, this is the symbol you got. A V over the inverted V, which is the X. Let me show you one more thing with the name Stargate. The name Stargate actually hid the symbol, the bottom part of the X, and they disguised it as an A when it was never an A, which is always the secret to this stuff. It's always sleight of hand, slight deception. It's a little bit distorted, so you have to kind of play with it in order to see what it actually is. It was never an A. It was always the bottom part of the X, or the inverted chevron. Now, let me go one layer deeper on this. I'm going to finish this video, and then in parts 1 and 2, I go into this part deeper, because when you see what's actually going on behind all that, it's really fascinating. This is the symbol for Stargate Command. The point of origin symbol over the chevron, which is really just this symbol. And let me show you what happens when you move this around, and you'll never be able to unsee this once you see it. If you move the tools around, it actually forms an X. But if you look at the bottom one, this is the point of origin that's on the Stargate. The inverted chevron with a little circle on top indicating a single sun. Now, in parts 1 and 2, this is part 3 of this video here. In parts 1 and 2, I go over the significance of the letter X when it comes to, say, the Freemasons and the elites, because it's a very symbolic letter for them, and it has a lot of meaning, and it's embedded everywhere. So if you made it this far, please like and follow so you can see parts 1 and 2. I'm going to be diving into more Stargate XRP stuff as time goes on, as I watch more and see more. Thank you so much for staying till the end. I know this was a long video. I don't like doing long videos, but there was so much in here I wanted to share with you. This was a tribute to my followers. This is why I took time to do this video, because this was for you guys. Thank you.